So you've got the Greek pantheon led by Zeus, and they're all living on Mount Olympus. Hermes shows up, the messenger of the gods, and says, hey, so there's some stuff happening down in Greece. They get there, and yeah, it's pretty bad down there. It's kind of a bloodbath. Most of the gods who don't really do the fight thing are still up on Mount Olympus kind of by themselves. The Titans took over Mount Olympus, and basically, they're in charge now. Over the next couple of years, they slowly get it back. Unfortunately, Greece is destroyed. So that was about 250 years ago, and that sets the stage for basically everything else that's going to happen. So everyone starts to rebuild. And while they're rebuilding, they realize that something's got to change. What they do is they decide they're going to rename this place New Olympus. So now that New Olympus is basically rebuilt, they need to start populating the area. And up until this point, there's only three races. There's the human, the siren, and the koboloi. Artemis kind of steps up and says, hey, so this is actually a really good opportunity. Artemis takes the soul of a deer and the soul of her priestess and combines them and creates this new woman named Leah, who is the matriarch of a new race called Leah's Own. So Apollo just finds this guy who's wandering around in Corinth, and first of all, didn't ask permission, just like rips this guy's soul out. You should always ask consent before ripping someone's soul out, and then finds this wind spirit that's kind of roaming around in Corinth and combines them. So what do you think happens when you take an angry spirit and imbue it with the powers of like magical ice energy? He's gonna get revenge. Born is Nithali of Winter, who is this ice elemental, like divine retribution thing that buries Corinth in ice and cold weather for like 10 years. And Hestia, seeing what's happening in Corinth, creates another elemental, this one made of fire, and names her Phaedra of Sun. And Phaedra just proceeds to kick Nithali's ice all around Corinth for like the next 6 months. And then Gaia showed up and decided to upstage everybody by creating her own race, except she took actual monsters from actual nightmares, gave them sentience again, put them in the ruins, looked down at her creation and said, my children. Hades tells everybody that the river of souls is drying up because there's not enough monsters in the world to kill enough people to keep the river going. And he's concerned about, you know, there being a drought of souls or something like that. Everybody kind of thinks this is a little bit sus, but like, what are you going to do about it? Like, it's Hades. You're going to call him on his bluff? You're going to go check for yourself? Hop into your like Mercedes-Benz chariot and cruise on down to the underworld river of souls and get you a little taste of soul juice? Yep, this is dry. Enter the death treaty. So this is basically a contract between Hades and the rest of the Olympians on how death is going to work in New Olympus. The short version is that you get 12 chances to die before Hades takes your eternal soul and banishes it to the underworld. However, if you do some work for the man downstairs, then he'll forgive one of your debts. Once you hit 12 debts, that's it. It's over. You're gone to the underworld. I'll see you later. So all that happened about 150 years ago. The population was growing. Shrines and temples were being erected. Politics were happening. Agriculture was agriculturing. A couple of wars happened. Finally, we get to about 3 years ago, about present day, and things are progressing pretty well. The gods basically don't even have to show up anymore. New Olympus is running itself. There are factions forming. Agriculturing is still agricultured. And boom, after some hijinks, this huge labyrinth shows up in the middle of Attica, and some people go inside to check out, see what's going on. They find out that it's this huge, like, multi-dimensional portal to other worlds and universes. Zeus immediately shows up and is like, hey, don't go in there. But now that this labyrinth is open, creatures from all over the place are kind of just showing up, and the adventurers are like, well, we'll deal with it when it becomes a problem. So that kind of brings you up to date on the history of New Olympus, basically up to this point.